Did you have any fear that came up given the timing of when you started and it was your first business? And like when January 2020 come like March, were you kind of going like, oh, fuck?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Story of a Startup. Today we have Cristina Wilson, founder of Mood House, which is a sauna and massage studio here in Charlotte that is growing and filling a very important need in the market. So, Cristina, welcome to the show. So happy to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so learned about your story, was at a Rotary Charlotte event the other night, and Ted Williams of Axios Charlotte, and I think your former boss was there. Yeah. And we were chatting. I was telling him about the podcast, and he said the person that you need to talk to, who I was so sad that she's no longer working for me, is Cristina Wilson, but she's out doing some really amazing work.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have definitely had several distinct chapters in my career that kind of led to this point, and that was a very formative one. So I'm really grateful.
Yeah, I love that. I want to get into all that. I don't know if Dominic mentioned to you that I used to have an infrared sauna studio as well.
Oh, so you were well versed in the whole thing. Amazing.
So I'm really excited because we can talk shop kind of, because when did I open my studio? Gosh.
It's like 2015 or 16?
Maybe 2016 or so, 2016, 2017 maybe. But yeah, so I opened it in LA, and it was only infrared sauna, though we didn't do massage or anything. But so I'm excited to kind of like get into the details on the sauna, or just like the spa business model in general. But
yeah, absolutely.
But maybe like before we get into all that, we can hear a little bit about, like you're mentioning, the three points in time that led you to this point, and we can kind of take it from there.
Sounds great. Well, here's kind of a quick version. I started in the world of editorial. I was a magazine editor for several publications here in Charlotte, one of which was a bridal magazine, which was my favorite and near and dear to my heart. We did a coffee table book. So I really went from a very content-driven, very visual kind of entry point into the workforce. That's really what I loved, and still do love too. I was ready for something more entrepreneurial and something more business-oriented. I felt like that was where I was feeling pulled, and the timing was incredible and the stars aligned because, as you mentioned, Ted Williams was starting what was then Charlotte Agenda right at that same time that I was ready for a new chapter. So I really dove in there as a partner and grew the business side. So I was kind of creating and executing ad campaigns as we went, because we started from the very beginning and grew really fast, which is exciting and exhausting at the same time. So fast forward 4 years of that, and I had been feeling personally this need for a more consistent self-care routine. I love massages. I was stressed out. I felt like I finally had some of the resources to be able to do that, but I felt like there wasn't a brand that was speaking to me. And I felt like there were super high-end options that I didn't have the budget or the time for to spend a full day. That sounds amazing, but who has the time? And then there were also kind of the other end of the spectrum of more of the classic chain kind of model that just didn't feel like it was speaking to me from an experience or an aesthetic perspective. I just really wanted consistency and somewhere beautiful and somewhere that kind of was for me. And since I didn't see it, I decided to build it myself. So, I took that leap, and here we are.
I love it. And you're a mother as well?
I am. Yeah. I have a 7-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy.
Okay, Cool. Yeah. So that's a layer. I'm familiar with that too. I have 3 kids, so we're kind of like living a parallel life in a lot of different points, but mine are a little bit older, so it does get somewhat easier, but yeah, that's funny, because that was really my thinking when I started my sauna business too. It was like exact same train of thought. I was like, I want to be healthier and integrate more wellness into my routine. And as a mom and busy working and, parenting, it wasn't time to go to like a nice hotel. And that's where the only place I would really, you go to like a hotel or a gym, and those saunas were never really that exciting, and just wanted some sort of like fast casual sauna experience. And I think
absolutely
that really like is a nice business model for people to get into, because like we're not alone. There's so many people who are busy and just want that like quick in and out, and the massage component is amazing too. So
yeah, absolutely. And for us, timing is kind of everything, and it was both a blessing and a curse. So I signed a lease in January of 2020, which is hilarious.
Amazing timing.
Amazing timing. Love going full contact business right after COVID.
Yeah, it's the best.
But it really did work out, because we were in construction during a lot of that first year, and we ended up opening January 2021. And so while it was really, really challenging, and there were a lot of other protocols, like I said, it came with its challenges, but at the same time, I think people were really craving connection at that point. And so I think we had the sauna piece, which was great and straightforward and standalone, but also because we had massage, I think people were then more than ever like, I just want to be with people. And so I think we did fill a need at a really specific time that ended up, it was painful to go through, but in the long run, I'm actually really grateful we opened when we did.
How'd you come up with the name Mood House? I was curious about that. What was the idea?
Yeah, I wish I had a better story. I knew how I wanted it to feel. I felt really clear on that. And, I was doing the whole list of words, put them together, make the building blocks kind of exercise. And just one of the pairs that really stuck out was Mood House, because I wanted it to be about mind body. I wanted it to be more than just the physical kind of therapeutic side of massage that people already know and are familiar with. So I felt like the idea of changing your mood and setting a mood and being able to set an intention and actually leave the building feeling a different way, that felt really powerful and exciting, like right when it kind of clicked. And then house, other than the combination just, sounding cool, it really set the tone for, we wanted to feel warm, we wanted to feel welcoming, and that's something that runs throughout the whole team and our culture now, because I think people hear spa and they expect kind of stuffy, kind of serious, and I think people are actually really surprised when they come in and our front desk team is like fun and cool and wants to be your friend. So I think that just the words together really helped me establish that. So it was a great like chicken and egg process at the same time.
It's awesome.
I'm like dying over the similarities too, because that was like, I felt that way too. Like when I was like, I'm going to do a spa business, and I didn't want it to feel like that typical spa, like you said, that feels either stuffy or like too new agey in a way, like where it was like lotus flowers everywhere. I don't know, like just like I was like, no, I want like cool music and like fun vibe, and like we're here to do wellness, but like doesn't have to be. It's like modernize it sort of. So I love that you're taking that same approach.
Absolutely. And I think, something that has set us apart from day one was the aesthetic and the design of the space. And that was, I really intentionally worked with an architect on our first project who had never done a spa before. And he was like, well, I've never done a spa. And I was like, perfect, great, because that's what I want. And it really does come through, I think, in how unique it is.
So what is your, since I haven't been able to come yet, what's your space like? Like, tell us about it.
Absolutely. So we say that it's kind of Palm Springs inspired. It definitely has a little bit of like a Scandinavian edge too. So just really simple, really clean lines. Usually in a spa environment, there's a lot of like the beige, those sorts of tones. And we wanted to reflect more what our clients kind of want their houses to look like. And we know that because they tell us, they come in and they're like, wait, this is what I was going for with my house. Like, yes, we nailed it.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of beautiful curved lines, a lot of really intentional lighting design, a lot of whites and natural wood tones. And we love a good plant. So you'll see a good few plant babies around the space too.
Got to have like your fiddle leaf fig or your like pothos or
Exactly. Check. Yes, exactly.
Plants are important. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I live in Palm Springs part-time, and actually Dominic and I are launching our skincare line right now, which is
Wow.
called Sun Care, and it's
Sun Love.
Sorry, did I just say it's called Sun Care?
It is Sun Care. It's
It
called
is
Sun Love.
Care.
Yeah.
It's for sun care, but it's called Sun Love. And we also, like, the brand sort of identity originates from Palm Springs too. So that's another fun little
I love
similarity we got going on.
Yes, we're in the same
Yeah.
vibe. I feel like
We should hang out,
At least,
yeah.
yes, at least here in Charlotte, that is not. It does help you stand out. You know, if
Yeah.
we were there, it wouldn't, but here it really does. So that's always been a big part of who we are, just having like that kind of clean, simple look, and kind of a surprising element that I couldn't have exactly planned for, but now I'm so grateful it worked out this way, is that so much of the success of what we do is about the energy and the intention that each massage therapist is able to bring to every service. And so the really beautiful thing is that the fact that we have a lot of natural light in our spaces, which is very atypical for a spa environment. We have a lot of natural light. We have that kind of brighter, happier look, means brighter, happier massage therapists. And it's really something we hear again and again, is that, you know, they feel really comfortable and inspired, and they're glad that they're not tucked in a cave somewhere, and it really comes through.
Yeah, I could imagine that's a huge shift from, like, if you're doing massages all day in like a space with no light, that will affect you for sure.
Yes, absolutely. And you're, you know, in that role, you're absorbing, you absorb so much energy too. You're taking on so much. So if you don't have a way to, like, you know, for them to ground themselves in between sessions and to kind of release that, then it can be really heavy. So I'm really grateful that the environment has really helped them with that.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Sunlight is healing, right? I mean, it's so important. That's definitely one of our philosophies, and something that we like to advocate for, right? If people are so stressed these days and looking for that moment of release, that it's important to have that and be able to create that. I also like, in the about section of your website, you're like calling out the culture that we have today. It's like, I wanted a place that wasn't Starbucks to be able to relax, like a third place, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it's great, kind of from a shifting our culture point of view of like what's permissible for a moment of relaxation. It's really cool. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there is a little goes a long way. You know, like we said at the beginning, it's not that we can do an hour, or we can do an hour. It's not that we can do a whole day. I know that's often not feasible, but it's not just their services. I think for us, and it's fun having a little bit of a difference. At our Dilworth original location, we have an interior kind of meditation space that's really beautiful, really calming, is a great little extra bit before you kind of re-enter the real world. And then at our Oakhurst location, we have an exterior patio, so more plant babies and more sunlight. So it's a little different flavor at each, but either way, we do really try to have that just a little bit extra before we send you on your way.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's nice to have little variations sort of between locations, as long as you feel like you know where you are, but it's a slightly different version of that same brand is kind of a nice thing, rather than like the cookie cutter approach. The big difference between what I did sauna wise or spa wise is, like, we only did the infrared saunas, and that was kind of a deliberate choice to keep it like a super simple, streamlined business model, and to keep like our staffing costs down and like less skilled labor needs. But you're doing massage, so that adds a whole nother layer of that for you. And I'm just curious, kind of just like how that dynamic works in the space, and if that's like, you know, is it hard to find like skilled massage therapists that you really like, or like that really get what you're doing? And then I'm also curious, a second question, kind of like, and you can share or not share, but like kind of what percentage of the business is more geared towards the massage or the saunas, or is there just like a nice overlap? Because they obviously go really well together. So I'm just kind of curious how like the flow is going for you guys.
Absolutely. No, it's a great question. So I love focus. I love simplicity. Like the way you described the sauna business, I click with in a big way. And for us, really massage is our core. So that's probably 90% of what we focus on and of the business as a whole. And the space reflects that. So, our Dilworth location has 7 massage rooms and 2 saunas, and Oakhurst has 8 massage rooms and 3 saunas. So the proportion is really similar. So we think of it, it is great as a standalone service, and we have a lot of our members who come in just for sauna as that extra kind of between sessions, as that extra little touch point. But I would say most people, they think of us as massage first, and really that's how we position it. And then we think of sauna as kind of that add-on or that extender to your visit for people who just want some extra time. So that's how we position it, because, and the beautiful thing is, as you well know, the sauna benefits are so great that it's like you really just wanted to like stretch your relaxation time, but then as a bonus you get all these amazing benefits. So we have a lot of new to sauna clients who kind of find us through massage and then get to discover the joy of sauna, which we love.
So do most people typically do the massage first and then go get in the sauna after and kind of like continue their detox and relaxation? Because I could see it being great beforehand also.
Yeah. I would say that's the most popular flow.
Yeah.
It is. I would say most popular is massage and then sauna. You kind of like integrate everything you just did in the massage. I would say the only people who typically prefer sauna first are like our hardcore deep tissue people, where it's actually going to get them ready for some like serious body work in there. But most people like massage first.
Right.
One of the things that we like to try to explore in this podcast, in this show, is for a lot of our listeners are like curious about entrepreneurship and maybe nervous to take the plunge of how to do it. Like, do they have the right mindset or skill set? So if like someone who's recently gone through this, you said you signed your lease in 2020 of January, it's like, what gave you the courage, and like, what were the kind of those core components in your own journey that you would recommend to another person who's looking to take their own business idea or their own curiosity and make it their full-time thing?
Yeah. So I think two big things really helped me feel confident about that leap. One of them was just being willing to hold on to the vision pretty loosely. I felt like I knew directionally where I wanted to go, and I knew the core services that I was excited about as a starting point, but I was super open and ready to fit the market. I did not come in dead set on any one thing. And I tried to design the first space to give me that flexibility. That's why we have the meditation space, we had the sauna, we had the massage. So I felt like I had some room to grow into whatever direction clients were telling me, and that the market was telling me. So for example, when we started, we had a lot more meditation presence. It almost was going to have more of a yoga studio feel potentially if that's what we were getting, but really almost immediately it was like, oh no, massage is what people need, want, are ready to pay for the most. And so like, let's go all in on that. So I felt like going in with that openness really helped me, because I was like, hey, here are 3 different angles I can take and we can go from there. And the second one was really feeling willing to do what was needed in the worst case scenario. So I really, I signed a 5-year lease to start, and I felt like, okay, like if all I have to do is like make rent for 5 years, am I willing to commit to that? Absolutely, no matter what, do whatever it takes. And I was like, yeah, for sure, I can do that. I can do the worst case, bare minimum version. If I'm going like door to door and handing out flyers, I work front desk 5 years straight, like I'll do it. Like I felt comfortable with that like worst case version, and I felt like I had enough relevant skills to make that part feel like, okay, like I know I can at least do that, and hopefully it's way better.
I think that's a really, really excellent point. Like establishing, like your worst case scenario, and if you're okay with it, to go ahead and move forward, because there's always going to be challenges. But like, if you can stomach like the bottom, then you just take the leap.
And even that, I mean, that's unique to brick and mortar. Obviously, if you have something with that's such an intense commitment and such an intense fixed cost that like if you don't feel confident about that, there are a million ways to go all in on entrepreneurship that don't start with something that intense of a commitment.
Totally. Did you have any fear that came up given the timing of when you started and it was your first business, and like when January 2020 come like March, were you kind of going like, oh fuck?
Oh yeah, definitely. Let's see. It was a dark time. It was
a dark time for everyone.
Yeah, it was.
So how did you like mentally decide like, no, we're just gonna see it through? Like, I don't know where this is all going, but like, how do you kind of like, how did you care for yourself mentally during that phase to get over that hurdle?
I definitely took it kind of 1 month at a time. I feel like people would ask me, what's your like COVID strategy? And I'd be like, well, the strategy is see what's happening with COVID when we open. There's no point in solving things when it's changing so rapidly. So I felt like I had a good sense of just staying in the present and saying like, you know, with the timeline we're on now, what we'll do, and then letting it change quickly as we went. I felt like I did try to build, I really wanted to start building community before we opened the doors. And that gave me a lot of comfort and peace of mind too. So I did pop-up meditation classes. I did virtual meditation classes. I did anything I could do to just feel like, even though we couldn't do things the traditional way, to get people excited about what we were doing beforehand. And like every event like that gave me a little boost too of like, okay, like it's gonna work, they're ready. You know, I was really trying to hype myself up during that stretch of like post-COVID but pre-opening. And then I let it be hard too. Like I was trying to grow our Instagram. I was trying to build a newsletter list. So I was doing some of those really tactical things, and obviously like just project managing construction, especially when it's the first time you've done it. That is all consuming too. So I was doing all those things, but you're also on an island, especially pre-opening. I didn't have a team yet. So that added a layer of isolation during that time. And so I remember days where like I would, you know, white knuckle through those things I wanted to get through for maybe like 4 or 5 hours. And then I would get to the afternoon and say like, you know what, I'm just going to let myself like go on my back deck, like lay down, like take in fresh air and take in some of nature's energy and just like listen to a podcast and like get myself recharged again. And I would do that a lot of days where like I would get the things I needed done, but then I set aside more time than I typically would have just to kind of mindset work and kind of content just to like refill the bucket again. So that was really, really helpful during that time.
Well, I read something similar on your website and it resonated with me completely, but it's kind of what you're describing where you said, I'm less effective as a businesswoman, as a leader, as a parent, if I don't take care of myself. So it's like, it's something I was kind of recently telling Dominic the same thing. I mean, we have to like remind ourselves of this, like how important that is. And I just kind of recently, I'm very busy in my life and was finding that I was feeling just like I was always running. And so I kind of, the last maybe month or so, have just very consciously taken my mornings to myself to take care of like my own wellness and fitness and things like that. And I've been feeling so much more productive, even though it's like less time that I'm able to work. It's like much more productive time mentally. Just having that like kind of reset time is so huge. So like you're basically handing that to your clients, to your customers as a business, which is such a great gift for your community.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the goal, and that's really everything. And so I'm really grateful that it's resonated and it's doing what I wanted it to do. I mean, that's like the most satisfying thing about all of this is that it really does do that. So I'm grateful.
So how long after the first location did you open your second location, and like at what point did you realize that it was working?
So we opened the second one, let's see, about 3.5 years in, because it was very recent. We just opened like 2 months ago, the second one.
Congratulations.
And we're about to turn 4 as a whole. So
that's amazing.
Thank you. And you know, the process takes so long that I actually toured the space back in like 2022. So it's like, I think I I saw those early signs of traction and success, especially with our membership. I was seeing that people were not only dropping in for those couple times a year, which we love that too, but people were really seeing the value in the membership and the monthly and the way that they felt better when they actually came in and had that recharge every single month. So I feel like I was seeing those numbers just consistently grow, and that's, I think, what gave me the confidence to even think about a second one that early. And I, from going through it once, I knew how long it takes, so I was willing to kind of bet ahead a little bit, and I feel really lucky that I bet on our team in that way then, because by the time the second one opened, we were like bursting at capacity. Like it was getting painful in a good way, but we needed the extra space. So I feel, it took some forethought and some commitment and some willingness to bet on the team. But my team is so incredible. I thought hey, at least this time I won't be doing it by myself, and it's going to be more fun, which has been true.
Which, by the way, what's the plural of masseuse? What's a group of masseuses? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We say massage therapists. That way you don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, I was getting tripped up because
nobody wants to have to.
I had a question about your business model. So you're massage therapists, not masseuse or some fancy situation. Are they FTEs or are they full-time employees, or are they independent contractors? What does that look like? And then depending on how that is, I actually had a follow-up question on that too.
Sure. Yeah. So all of our team are employees because they have a set schedule with us. We want that consistency available for clients. So everything is employee. We have a mix of full and part-time. What we consider full-time is about 25 hours. So, kind of 5 days, 5 hours. It's probably, I would say 70% full-time make up most of our schedule, and then some part-timers who fill in.
Cool. So as you were building that, it's how would you find your talent, right? So if someone who's starting a business in the service, in a service industry where you need someone with a very specialized skill set, how were you when you were starting and you had these 3 verticals that you were wanting to explore? How did you figure out who you were going to trust with your business and your ideas and everything like that?
Yeah, it's funny because the same principles and the same process and all the same things you would do on the client side, we also do on the team side, because for us, it's almost evenly weighted, which is, I think, unique to our type of business versus another. So, I always thought of it as, brick by brick, one amazing person at a time. One amazing person knows another amazing person. So it was a lot of just doing all the things I could think of and knowing that it was going to be a slow but kind of worthwhile process if I really built a great foundation. So I opened with a small team of, I think our opening team was probably 8 or 10 massage therapists. And for that group who bet on me and bet on the idea, I'm I got just straight up lucky. I don't know why they thought this would be awesome, but I feel really grateful that they did. Because looking back, I'm I probably had 1 page on a website that said who we were, and that was it. So luckily they took a chance on starting with us. And from there, we do a lot of referrals. Once they have a great experience working with us, they're naturally going to tell friends and peers. And then we have a great relationship with massage schools as well. So that has been huge in just building the brand and making sure that people, even when they're in massage school, our goal is to be the goal of where they want to work. So we want to make it that awesome, make the experience that special, and make it really stand out in the industry. And I think that, it just takes a long time to build that, but that's what we try to do.
So digging in on that a little bit more, what are some of those ways that you have found are effective with your team to make it the place they want to be and make it really the best work environment for them?
Yeah. It's funny because I feel it's a lot of little things that add up. So some basic things, We do team self-care Monday. So every Monday we have our saunas blocked off just for team, like complimentary use. So they know that even if the week gets crazy, they have that time to themselves to use the sauna and to do massage trades. Obviously we have like a normal list of, like kind of benefits and perks. But I think the things that really stand out are the ways that we listen to the massage therapists and create solutions for them, even if it's, and I say we, meaning like the kind of management and admin teams, the way that we find solutions to those, even when it's really inconvenient for us. So little things like we have a stipend for if clients like late cancel or no show, because we respect their time. We know that you were here and you were ready, and it's not your fault that someone had to cancel. And so we pay stipends on that type of time, even though it means for us a lot of like tracking, and payroll takes us forever, and we have to do a lot of digging, and like it's just, there are complications that we're willing to absorb because it makes their life a lot better. And I think they see that and they really appreciate it.
Yeah, they see you're taking care of them.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I've noticed that you've said it kind of in a couple different ways is this concept of like listening to your team or listening to your customers, and like and making adjustments based on that and being flexible to grow that way. And I think that's really probably has, I'm sure, a lot to do with your success thus far. And so from the customer side, how does that look? Because I know you also mentioned that you were actively building your community prior to opening the business. And I would love to dig in a little bit more on that too, partially just like selfishly, because we're actually doing that right now too, because we're pre-launch and we want to build our community. And so that's something that's just actively on my mind a lot right now. So I'm curious the ways that you were able to do that, like before you opened, and what you feel like was really effective.
Yeah. I think for pre-opening, I know I mentioned, events, in-person connection as much as possible. I felt like went the farthest for feeling like, no, we really know each other. Like that, those, I think the connections were deepest from those events, but I do feel like I was also able to kind of go kind of wider and broader in some ways too. So, as our Instagram started to grow, we did, and we still do a lot of communication in DMs. And I think that you're right. It's a similar framework to what I just mentioned with the therapist, where like, honestly, managing DM inbox is like a nightmare. It's like, it's for us, it's not organizable very well. It's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. It's like, it doesn't have a great workflow the way our other platforms do, but that's where our clients are. Mm-hmm. So, and that's where they want to ask us questions, and that's where they want to book from, and that's where they want to interact with us. And so we do it anyway, and we kind of work backwards and just make it happen because that's what they need and what they want. So I think that's a current example, but even going back to the beginning, I love to talk. I hope that's clear today. I love chit-chatting, and I love connecting with people. And so, I would utilize, audio messages in DM. I still do that. I love doing that now. Especially if there's a question that kind of has a complex answer, I love just hopping on an audio. I think it feels so personal. I think people are just so pleasantly surprised when you connect with them in that way. So that's always been a tool that I've loved. And then same thing with video. Early on we did a lot with as soon as I kind of had early traction with, we did founding memberships, or even with just early clients, I would add them to our accounts, close friends. And so I would give them extra behind the scenes and really personal updates from me. And any time I could really help them feel special and connected to the process pre-opening, I tried to take that, and also celebrate them back publicly too. So we did a founding membership sale before we opened, and again we didn't have anything to show. We didn't have the space to show, so they were really just kind of going on community and vibe. So I wanted to say thank you. And so actually during our founding membership original sale, every person who joined, I wrote their name by hand on the concrete under what would eventually be covered up with flooring, but just literally on the shell floor, and showed all of them. So I feel people could not only get the thrill of kind of seeing themselves, but also, people were getting that social proof of oh wow, people are actually doing this, even though no one really knows what it's going to be.
I love it. And but those people are never going to cancel their membership.
No, they're like, I'm here. I'm part of this.
Yeah, like my name is under the floor.
Ground
Exactly,
floor,
yes.
literally.
That's a great idea.
I think your path has been interesting too, coming from wedding magazines through running ad campaigns. And, you know, when I talk to Ted, he says that you're one of his best friends and you're also like one of the smartest people that he's ever met.
So nice.
And I think that when I think about people who end up being entrepreneurs or have that entrepreneurial spirit, they come from a lot of different backgrounds, right? It's kind of like a common refrain that you hear is no one really fits like a specific mold. So I want to hear maybe a little bit about tying your life experiences or like your unfair advantages of like what you knew that you could do really well and how that could help you create your business, and maybe how that could be applicable to others as well.
I think on paper, the most clear tie-ins are that editorial and communication background. You know, it's not something that you go in as like a wellness operator thinking you need, but as any wellness operator who listens to this will agree with, you're like, oh wow, if you had, it ends up being such a big part of the job, being able to communicate from a customer service perspective, from a sales perspective, and from a marketing perspective. So like those skills served me so well. And, you know, the funny thing is, I think the only thing that's been consistent about my path is that it always makes more sense in the rear view. You know, I have not been one to like plan out those next steps, and I've been open to kind of some bigger changes. And like, I trust that first, and then looking back, it always ends up making a lot of sense. Even like in college, I did the same thing. I took a lot of classes that I really cared about and I felt like would serve me in different ways, but they didn't really make sense. And at some point I actually had to pick a major, and I ended up having this like light bulb moment that everything I had been naturally doing allowed me to, I ended up creating a gender studies major through our like our interdisciplinary center at Davidson College here just down the road. And so it wasn't, I didn't go in like planning for this major. I just let my like interests lead. And then I was like, oh wait, this actually makes a ton of sense. But like, that's kind of always how it's been. And I have finally learned to embrace that and be okay with being like a generalist who follows the next thing.
So what's the next big thing, Cristina?
This is the longest I've ever been.
Just going with the flow, yeah.
This is the longest I've ever been in one zone, and it's so far so good. So, yeah.
Well, that is a good question. So, well, within Mood House, at least, like, what are sort of the thoughts or like direction you feel like more expansion, I would imagine, would be probably on the horizon. Are you like, we branched out into like franchising. I don't know if you're planning to, what you're planning to do with the business.
So right now, I do think there's still capacity in Charlotte for one or two more Mood Houses. I think, you know, the city is big enough to meet that, and that does feel very possible and very much in our future. And I think that's I'm laser focused on that right now. It's like, let's make sure that we're giving Charlotte everything we've got. And I think, I mean, candidly, coming in, I thought more wider. I thought more franchise. I thought, you know, more national presence. And now that I'm living it, I do feel like my urge is more to go like deeper in Charlotte. I feel like you definitely get those like cool points, and there's definitely some like pride in like doing something like geographically expansive, but I just find more and more that like I feel most fulfilled with the in-person connection, like on the team and the client side. And I love that I just drive back and forth to these locations, and it's hard for me to feel like I would feel as connected to people out of the market in the same way. So I would say I want to give Charlotte all I've got with this brand and then kind of see what's next. But I could see myself kind of going deeper here than wider.
That makes sense. And that's kind of in line with your philosophy of, like you were saying, with your team and customers, like just really kind of really paying a lot of attention to their needs and like wants and servicing that. And so that's kind of like a bigger version of that, to like just kind of keep it Charlotte, keep it really like a nice personal touch, which I think will probably build you like such better customer longevity, and kind of your reputation will just only be better by taking that approach, probably, rather than going too far too fast.
Yeah, I hope so. And even, it's funny because I feel like the outward growth or like doing a ton of locations, ironically, even though it feels like that's the entrepreneurial like kind of default setting, I know, and I'm sure you both can relate to this, like creatively for me, I'd almost rather like add more things here and serve the same, I don't want to just like copy paste the same thing over and over again, or else I'll get too bored. So I feel like I need that change of scenery of, hey, let's do a retreat for our clients, or let's add in this service line, or I don't know, it feels, even short term, it feels more my personality to keep iterating here, really.
Well, and I think even business wise, like there's enough business you could generate through like the type of things you're talking about just only in Charlotte and being extremely successful. So there's no reason really to have to like necessarily, open locations in Portland or whatever.
Yeah, right. I'd have to have a really, really good reason. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the statistic I've heard is that there's 126 people approximately who move to Charlotte every day. So, and like you think about where these people are moving from, right? They're moving from, well, California, Ohio, New York. These are places with more established services for massages, and they're looking to find something. People who are moving from California because maybe they work a bank job or something, are like, hey, I want my Palm Springs vibe, right? Or someone, they want that release. People work really hard here. So I think that you can go deep, and when you go deep, by the time you get to that next level down, there's going to be like 10,000 more people that are ready for your product.
It's true. You're just going to be like capturing all these
exactly.
refugees from our,
Yeah. I it's funny because I'm from here, so I try to take it as a compliment and not an insult too. But when people would be like, "Oh, this like doesn't feel like Charlotte at all," or like, "Oh, is this based here? I figured it was a franchise." Like people will say that kind of thing. So I think we have hit the mark on that. And like I said, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from here. There's cool stuff here too."
Yeah. See?
Yeah, exactly.
You're looking at it.
Well, I live in Denver, North Carolina, by Lake Norman. So selfishly, I'm like, go back to Davidson, make a mood house there. I'll join.
Yay, okay,
it's
perfect.
a little easier for me to get there.
One sale done.
Yeah.
Yep, got it.
She's listening, Dominic.
Yeah. Well, cool. What else do we want? Okay, so the other thing I wanted to chat about, making sure that like people who are listening can go away with like some good lessons and things like that, is related to partnerships. So like we've heard about your business model in terms of your employees, but when you were getting started, whether it was funding or key strategic partners, or even someone who's like helping you from a operations point of view, like who were those key players that you worked with in order to make that brand happen? You're like, oh, without this person, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, for sure. Let me think. It's so many people can go in that category, from, mentors, and just, there was so much community support around it, from the beginning, which I'm really, really grateful for. Ted, that we talked about earlier, is an advisor, and he is super helpful. He brings a lot of just really great marketing perspective, and I think he's really great at help filtering out what message will click. That's just one of his like superpowers. So having that as a sounding board has still been really helpful, even now. And then from a team perspective too, I have to, when I'm thinking back to kind of the beginning and what gave me the confidence to even move forward, I knew that the first massage hire would obviously be critical to success, and I needed someone I could count on. So I worked really early and really tried to be thorough on finding a massage therapist who could take that first lead role, because she helped me, create the service flow. And I was like, that's something that we'll always be iterating, but we have to start so strong. And so I really need someone I can trust, since I'm not a massage therapist myself. I needed that right hand. So I feel really, really grateful Her name is Victoria. She's in a fun turn of events. So she came on as my original lead therapist, helped me really create the signature service, was instrumental. Moved away to start a family and then just moved back. And so she started at our Dilworth location, and now she came back really, I feel like it was symbolic. She came back just in time to be a part of the Oakhurst opening. So she is back with us now, and we're so grateful she's here. And I couldn't have opened without her, and I'm really, really grateful to her.
Welcome back, Victoria.
Yeah, exactly.
When you hire massage therapists, do they have to like demonstrate their skills on you? Because that sounds pretty awesome. If that's your like, let me see how you do.
Yes, I mean, yes, it's such a, that is our product. So we're really, really picky in the best way. I always interviewed at first. It actually got to the point probably after the first year. From just a time perspective, we were trying to grow and trying to hire, and I couldn't take all the interviews myself, so I, reluctantly brought in help. But so we have a few different managers who help with that process now, and it is definitely a job perk. Except once in a while, you'll get one you don't love, which and then you have to be there. So.
Endure a terrible massage.
Exactly. So luckily that is super rare, but yes, that is a job perk for the team for sure.
How does someone fail at a massage interview? Like what would be like an example of one of those times?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
For sure. As I think has been a theme of this conversation, we're all about communication. So if we're telling you we want medium and you give super deep pressure, that's an automatic, like we're not a fit, or vice versa. And I think another kind of core value of ours that which should be kind of industry standard, but I know is really, really important to us, is that, we think every body is so worthy and valuable and needs care and deserves care and respect. And so even things that seem neutral, for example, if you have someone who comments on a tattoo or comments, like if we just get that sense that there's, if they see, I don't know, there's just a professionalism. Yeah, there's a professionalism of like,
if they're weird.
Basically.
The
creep factor. Yeah, I had that recently, actually.
The creep factor. We're high on looking for that. Yeah.
I had a massage recently where, after I told my friend, I was like, I don't know what just happened, but I maybe got molested a little bit. Like, not really, but it was so weird. Like, kind of like the way she was like, it was like a little too comfortable. And then like while being too comfortable with me, she goes, wow, you're just really so beautiful. And I'm like, that's an interesting comment while you're basically naked getting a massage from someone you don't know.
Yeah, that's a good example. It's like, even if they mean well, it's like, no, this is a safe, neutral space where that's not what we're doing. Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you, but also no, I'm not relaxed at all. So.
Yes. We have, So those are the things that we definitely, those are the easy ones.
Yeah, that's easy. That was the hard.
Usually it's more nuanced, but sometimes it's an easy no.
Well, thinking about your entrepreneurial journey, Cristina, is there anything that you came today prepared to like talk about, or anything that you wanted to make sure that you were wanted to share with our listeners and our community of entrepreneurs?
Sure. I think. Well, honestly, you both asked such great questions. I feel like we covered most of the things I wanted to talk about, but I would really just encourage people. So you mentioned, listeners kind of being on the fence or having those fears, and I just think you have to kind of action through them, and to find that confidence that there's no external work. And I love a podcast. Like I mentioned, that was like my daily ritual during those dark times, is to do that mindset work. But you have to like get past that. I think that there is so much, there are so many resources now, and there is so much great inspiration that it's easy to like follow all the accounts and like save all the reels and like listen to all the things, but like not really do anything. So I would just, action first, try it. The worst that can happen is you never do it again. I have a million things I've tried that I will never do again. And it's just like those constant experiments and that constant listening, and you can absolutely be successful. So if you're on the fence, if you're willing to do that, then you should go for it.
That's great advice. Everyone, do it. You know?
Exactly.
Try.
Come to the dark side. It's so fun over here.
You just have to be right once, right?
Exactly. Well, yes, and then over and over again in the exact same way, but basically, yeah.
Yeah. Just keep pushing the same button when you find one that works.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Jessica, any other thoughts before we wrap up today?
I don't think so. We sort of hit on all of the things I had in my mind as well. So yeah, this was really fun to chat with you and get kind of talk saunas and massage and spa, and it's exciting what you're doing, and I really am inspired by the way you approach your business. So I'm just excited to like keep up on you guys and watch you grow and see what's next.
And when you visit us in Charlotte,
When I come to Charlotte, we're coming.
Yeah.
Please, we'll make it happen for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was great talking shop with you as well. And when you're in town, come see us. We'll see you soon.
We'd love it. Thank you.
Thank you.